1973, I made the varsity baseball team as a junior, which was a big deal back then. The next day, I told Coach Harrington that I was quitting baseball to play the role of Rusty Charlie in Guys and Dolls. But look at happen, Tat, he's winning by a half, according to this here in the Telegraph. I don't think Coach Harrington ever spoke to me again. But I was hooked the minute the rehearsal started. Beverly Burton was a wonderful director back then and became a very important man in my life. I had met Mr. Burton a year earlier when he asked me to join the select choir. It's called Choraleers. And it was there that I met my future wife, the beautiful Ann Malosky. I remember Mr. Burton asked me to speak at the drama club at the junior high assembly. He was trying to drum up business, which means he was trying to recruit more guys. So he asked me, a varsity football player, to speak. I was flattered and honored. Mr. Burton had a profound effect on me. One of my fondest memories was performing with Mr. B, right here on this very stage in a production of 1776, in 1976, at our nation's bicentennial. He played the part of Benjamin Franklin. He was great. I will always be grateful to him. And even though I can't throw a football or baseball very well anymore, I can still carry a pretty good tune. Mr. Burton passed away in 1998. It is my honor, though, to bring to this stage and welcome his daughter, Dr. Bonnie J. Burton.
Chorus and drama here from September 1958 to June of 1977. My parents started as professional musicians. One of my favorite testimonials to that is a folder of clippings of their wonderful reviews from their performances in Paris. But when they wanted to settle down, they brought that expertise and passion for music into teaching. And for Dad, that was here in Bethpage. I have to say it was an interesting process trying to select what to share with you tonight, because virtually I was in high school for 12 years here with him. Some of my earliest memories include him coming home, talking about whatever he was working on at the school, and how hard the students were working, and what a great production or concert it was going to be. And honestly, it always was. It wasn't until later, when I had other schools' productions to compare things to, that I realized the level of achievement here in Bethpage. It wasn't just the large things he'd be concerned about, like the choice of musical, where he wanted to include the most students, provide a challenge to help them stretch their abilities, be appealing to the community, but be a collaborative choice with the rest of the faculty dream team that made it happen. Sometimes even little things would be on his mind, like during the early days of the 1966-67 production of Oklahoma. It was a long time ago. He had to figure out how to delicately tell a very strong leading lady not to swing her dance partner completely off his feet. Sometimes he'd be worried about having the right materials, and he brought home stories about going to the business office and scrounging small amounts of extra money to get some 2x4s or some sturdy casters. As he built the program, he had open arms to those who were interested regardless of prior musical experience. His criteria were that you come to class and you work hard. For those who weren't comfortable in front of the lights, he made opportunities with stage crew and set construction, lighting, costumes, and makeup. Dad tried to give the real-world exposure, and I was lucky to often be included on the annual trip to a real Broadway performance. Another early field trip I saw pictures of included the Ed Sullivan television show. Okay, you might have to Google that. But they had a chance to meet the host. One day, Dad mentioned that some actor, I was little, the actor was named Dustin Hoffman, visited the drama students. I had no idea who that was until I grew up, and then that made quite an impression on me. Dad was the kind of teacher his students could talk things over with, and I remember him talking about the ones who were really concerned and connected with the music and the theater program. He was one of those students, one of the teachers that the students remember, and one of those programs that students remember long after they're out of school. This was never truer than at my parents' 50th anniversary, where one of the high school graduates played Gary Cacciantini, and another student arrived carrying a gift that symbolized the appreciation of both Dad and the music program here. He was a graduate from Bethpage in 1959 who continued his music career and produced an album. That was George Morton, and the album was Leader of the Pack. That former Bethpage High School student presented my parents with a gold collector's edition of that album, and tonight, on behalf of both my parents, it's my pleasure to give that album to the school, Mr. Terry Clark, to accept on behalf of the school.
Thank you. I just want to say what an honor it is to be the superintendent of schools on a night like this. I've been here 30 years, and I have to say, I've been to 30 years of productions, and I've been impressed every year. And the name Beverly Burton is well known to everybody who's been here that long. I can remember Tony Georgian taking over the drama production before I got here, but always telling me about his mentor, Beverly Burton. So it's a great honor to be here. I accept this on behalf of the Board of Education, the Bethpage School District, and I assure you it will be in a place of prominence. I want to say on behalf of Bethpage Educational Foundation that we are thrilled with the talent here tonight. I've been observing the rehearsals all week long, and I just want to say thanks to all the performers, the stage and lighting crew, sound crew. They've done a phenomenal job. They have invested enormous amount of time and energy. They have done a fantastic production here, and we are very, very grateful to them for all of that. Thank you very, very much. I have to say, 2 years ago, Brad Seidman, Joe Hoffman came to me with this idea that they wanted to put on a reunion show. It has taken that long to pull this off. They deserve an enormous amount of credit.
I first touched this stage 53 years ago, and I've always been amazed at how magically the actors in this stage would be transformed. From the fields of Oklahoma to the streets of West Side Story, from the dimly lit workhouse of Oliver to the court of Camelot. The fantastic sounds that the voices of the students made continue to ring, and the first King Arthur I ever knew was and is one of those voices. I'm thrilled tonight to introduce King Arthur, Bob Bambino.
I know what my people are thinking tonight, as home through the shadows they wander. Everyone's smiling in secret delight. They stare at the castle and ponder. Whenever the wind blows this way, you can almost hear everyone say, I wonder what the king is doing tonight. What merriment is the king pursuing tonight? The candles at the court, they never burn this bright. I wonder what the king is up to tonight. How goes the final hour as he sees the bridal bower being legally and regally prepared? Well, I'll tell you what the king is doing tonight. He's scared. He's scared. You mean that a king who fought a dragon, whacked him in two and fixed his wagon, goes to be wed in terror and distress? Yes. A warrior who's so calm in battle, even his armor doesn't rattle, faces a woman petrified with fright. Right. You mean that a bawling clamoring that sounds like a blacksmith hammer is merely the banging of his royal knees? Please, you wonder what the king is wishing tonight. He's wishing he were in Scotland, fishing tonight. What occupies his time while waiting for the bride? He's searching high and low for some place to hide. And oh, the expectation, the sublime anticipation he must feel about the wedding night to come. Well, I'll tell you what the king is feeling tonight. He's numb, he shakes, he quails, he quakes, and that's what the king is doing tonight.